What's up, YouTube? This is Ashley, Busy Bee Lawn Care and Sprinkler Repair, Inc. We're on the internet at www.busybeelawncare.com. Today I want to talk to you about sprinkler system winterization, particularly in Columbia, South Carolina, Irmo, and Lexington, South Carolina. If you've got an irrigation system for your yard that waters the grass, this is a great video for you to look at, particularly since the temperatures are going to start dropping, getting pretty low here in Columbia. So bear with me. I'm going to get driving here and I'm going to talk about some things having to do with winterization for your sprinkler systems. So first of all, I'm going to say that you don't need to winterize your sprinkler system in the Columbia, South Carolina area. And I say this because, for one thing, we've been doing irrigation here in Columbia for 10 years. We've been in business for 14 years. And there's no need for it. If there's a broken pipe because it's too close to the surface and it freezes, like a hard freeze, then just pay for the pipe to get repaired. It'd be cheaper than every year getting the thing winterized. But that's if you got some pipes that are close to the surface, or if you got spigots or stub ups or anything like that that has pressurized water in it at all times. So, you know, the theory is up north, and they do this up north, which does make sense up north, but they'll blow out all of the air out of the sprinkler system. That includes, you know, all the water out of the sprinkler system. So any of the water that are in the mains or in the lateral lines, or any water that might sit in the valves or the backflow control valve, that's all taken care of up north. But down here, there's just no need for it, unless you have a pump, an irrigation pump that's drawing from a body of water. So I'm just trying to clear up the air here. There's a lot of companies out there that are selling winterization, and we never have really pushed it, because every time I think about telling the public that it's something super important for you to do, my conscience gets to me, and I'm just not able to go full throttle with something like that, because you don't need it. But if you do have a pump and you're pulling out of a lake or a body of water, I'm not talking about a well pump, that's different. If you got a lake pump, then you need to drain the pump. You don't need to involve any air or air compressor or anything like that. Now with the well, you got a well head that's above the ground, and you might want to think about shutting down the well, or putting some insulation around the well head, or even maybe just put a 25-watt light bulb under the fake rock that you might be using to cover your wellhead when it gets super cold for 2-3 days in a row. Other than that, you're good. So here's the thing. When I looked into doing winterization on irrigation systems in Columbia, the right way involves an air compressor that has a huge amount of air volume, not pressure. Any compressor can give you high pressure. So you got these guys running around with a $100 compressor that's typically used for roofing or whatever, that they're blowing out sprinkler systems with that. But that's just not the proper way to do it. They're gonna ruin your system, and on the way they're gonna ruin their compressor, and they're not gonna make any money anyway, because they're just gonna go through compressors. You need high CFM. You need a high volume of air, like 50 CFM, and that kind of compressor is not the kind of investment anybody around Columbia is going to make or needs to make, because it's not necessary to begin with, to only do a few winterizations and act like it's a service or something that they're bringing to the customer that's of value. So, but again, back to, and wait, what about the manner in which they do it? So let's say they do have the right kind of compressor to blow the water out of a city-fed, city water irrigation system. Well, you gotta have a place to hook it up, like on the main somewhere. If you got a backflow for the sprinkler system, that helps you at least locate where the sprinkler's tapped into the water main for the house. So there's a start. But you would have to install a place to hook the air up to that would effectively, easily, like maybe a quick connect, for the price of, replacing a valve or something, definitely for the price of a repair that might happen as a result of a freeze. So they would have to install that. If they don't install that, if they're hooking up the air to any other component on the sprinkler system other than at the backflow area, I mean, I just don't know how they're having any kind of effective service. So it's kind of a hack job around here. Up north, they know how to do it. They got it down. They got the right kind of compressors. But again, not necessary in Columbia unless you got a pump. So if you got a pump, here's the big secret. There's a drain plug on the bottom of the pump at the pump impeller housing, which faces the water usually. It's the big round part opposite the motor. So, but the thing that a lot of homeowners get wrong is they'll pull that drain plug out and then they'll go to put the plug back in and they'll misthread the plug. So it gets cross-threaded, and yeah, then you're looking at a problem, and you should have gotten a professional to do it. And a lot of people just don't have time to do it or care to do it so yeah, we'll do a irrigation winterization for somebody who has a pump, particularly on Lake Murray. But basically what we're doing is we're pulling the plug out, we're letting the water drain out, which also generally drains out all of the mainline water. A lot of properties on the lake are on a slope anyway, so that mainline water will drain out of the drain plug on the pump. And sometimes we'll unhook the intake pipe at the pump, because that is a big problem. That will freeze up. But it's complicated as to how to prevent your intake pipe from freezing here in Columbia. I've seen a lot of those. They will crack, they'll fray, and what will happen is you go to turn your sprinkler system on and it won't take a prime. Or if it does take a prime, your heads are spitting out a lot of air in an attempt to prime. So you pull the drain plug out, and another thing happens is they lose the drain plug. So a good thing to do with the drain plug, or if you're wondering where yours is, if it's been winterized, we put it behind the control panel circuit board. So you open your control panel, and there's a tab usually to where you can open up the control panel, look behind it. Behind that is where we'll put the little metal threaded plug. So you pull the plug out, let the water out till it drains out. If you want to go over and above, get some biodegradable antifreeze. And I want to stress biodegradable, because you don't want to hurt the fishes and the wildlife and the quality of the water. And you pour that in there to where the pump has a little bit of that in there, and that's it. Of course, turn your control panel to the off position, because you don't want your valves firing up all winter with no pressurized water in there. But the things that can happen if any component of your sprinkler system does freeze during the winter for whatever reason, if you got any pipes that are exposed, like not necessarily your zone pipes, but the mains that supply water that are always pressurized. Water mains are always pressurized. Zones are not always pressurized. But the likelihood of you having any exposed pipes is very low if you have a system that's been installed properly. Some people elect to have some spigots installed for their sprinkler system. So if you've got any stub ups or sprinkler spigots on your system that just supply you with water for a hose or something, then wherever it stubs up, that runs the risk of freezing. So if you got anything like that, then yeah, winterizing the thing would be a good idea, at least in the area where it's stubbed up. So is it a good time right now, though, to have a sprinkler system inspection? I think so, because what'll happen is when you go to fire up your sprinkler system in May or June, and everybody that does that kind of work is like super busy, and you gotta wait a good while for an appointment, you might have done better to have the sprinkler system gone through in November, December, January, February, and have any sprinkler heads replaced that are bad. Have the thing turned to the off position. You don't need to water right now. If you do, maybe once a week. Have any kind of drip irrigation broken areas looked at, repaired if needed. And it's a great time to get an upgrade on your control panel right now. There's some Wi-Fi controlled irrigation control panels that work really well, tried and true. It's been around for a little while now, and it's definitely something that can make your life easier when you can control your sprinkler system from your iPhone or Android or whatever. So that's the long story of it. I hope I haven't confused anybody, but if you're on city water and you're in Greater Columbia, Lexington, or Irmo, South Carolina, my standpoint is that you do not need to winterize your sprinkler system. And if you have any questions about that, or if you have a specific concern about your specific system or the layout, hit me up. Send me an email. Again, we're online at busyblawn.com or at 803-331-5323. This is Ashley, Busy Bee Lawn and Sprinkler Inc. signing out. Thanks for watching, and please like the video.